All right, welcome back to Yahoo Finance. I'm Brian Sazi. Joining me now is Pinterest CEO Bill Reddy, fresh off really a busy day, earnings calls, you name it. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You talked a lot about on the earnings call, a message of positivity on the earnings call about your platform. Talked about how you're growing operating profit margins because of cost cutting. The stock still finished lower. What did everyone miss here?
So when I look at the quarter, I feel really good about the performance that we put up for the quarter. We grew revenue 6% on an FX neutral basis, 4% as reported, which was right in line with our guide of mid-single digits. But even more importantly than that, as you talked about, our mission to go build a positive platform where users can find the inspiration to build a life they love. We're seeing really great progress on that. And the best evidence of that is that we grew engagement with users by double-digit percentage points, and we've returned to user growth. So we feel like that's really cutting through in terms of this being a positive place for users and a place where people can find inspiration and increasingly taking more action on that inspiration, which is one of our big opportunities as a platform.
Yeah, lots to get into. The ad market, social commerce, of course, tapping into your background for whether it's PayPal, Google, you name it. But how do you go about creating a positive social media place on the internet?
Well, I think first and foremost is just stating that as an objective, right? And I think so much of what has transpired has led to platforms tuning for what drives the most view time. But a lot of what drives the most view time may be things that are fueling toxicity and negativity and making people feel bad about themselves. And one of the things that attracted me to Pinterest is that I think for some time now, Pinterest has been very purposeful in tuning for positivity, making conscious choices on the platform to help people connect with things that bring them inspiration, that help them feel better about themselves, and avoiding a lot of the toxicity that you would find elsewhere in social media. And so as we go forward, not only do we want to make that something that's great for users, we want to show that there's a great business around that. And I think so far we're seeing really good progress both in users recognizing that. Gen Z is now our fastest growing demographic, and we think that's one of the things that Gen Z really appreciates about the platform. They grew up digitally native, they grew up with social media, and I think increasingly they're seeing that Pinterest is a reprieve from a lot of the sort of negativity and toxicity of social media. So we're seeing that cut through there, but we're seeing advertisers really appreciate it as well. So we think we can prove a real business model around positivity. And so, we're early in our days there, building on a lot of great foundation over the years, but a lot more that we think we can do there.
Billy, not to date myself here, but you know what I like about Pinterest? I go on the site, I know how to use it. I don't even know how to use TikTok. This stuff has gotten too complicated.
Well, I think short form video is certainly an opportunity for many. One of the things that we feel really good about is that as we've brought more short form video to the platform, we're seeing that it's driving good engagement. More than 10% of our engagement is now on short form video. But we're also finding good ways to monetize on video. It's more than 30% of our revenue now.
You're making money off short form video.
Yeah, and it's engaging really well with Gen Z. But when you contrast us to others, we're not a lean back entertainment platform. We're a lean forward platform where people come with intent and purpose, whether it's to make or do or shop. And so we're serving different kinds of videos that are really more centered around the purpose that people have, whether it's to figure out how to go, make that new recipe that they want to make, or shop for that great outfit they want to put together, or the home they want to redesign, or the room they want to redesign, or the travel they want to plan. These really purposeful journeys are where Pinterest really stands out, and we're seeing increasing engagement with that. And it's great for users and also great for advertisers.
Do you have to incentivize the creative or economy to say, you know what? I'm not going to put that short form video on a TikTok. I want to do it on Pinterest. Are you doing any of that?
Well, I think creators are going to want to, as they create, they're going to want to publish in many places. What we're focused on is how do we bring a different value prop to those creators? And so we're finding that really cuts through more than just throwing sort of short-term rewards or things at creators. How do we help them build an audience? How do we help them connect with that purpose? We've had creators say things like, I was talking to one creator who, she's a fashion influencer. And one of the things that she said, which we really loved, is she said, one of the things that she loves about being on Pinterest is that on other platforms, she's got to be a big personality, almost a caricature of herself. And she said, on Pinterest, it's just about my fashion. And that's what I was really in it for to begin with. And so we're really focused on how we give different value to our creators for different kinds of engagement and audience building. And we're seeing that work really well. We've seen that our content is up meaningfully, 30% quarter on quarter around video and those kinds of things. But it's content with more purpose, both for the consumer of that content and for the creators of that content.
Let's go back to what you were saying about the positive attributes of a Pinterest. And I could find many toxic places, Facebook, certainly Twitter. When you talk to advertisers, do they get your message, and are you gaining market share from those platforms? Because they have not cleaned up those platforms in many respects.
Well, so we made really good progress on our ad platform overall. Our ad supply, our engagement's growing double digits. Our ad supply is growing north of 15%, and we're seeing that our ads are performing better and better. So first and foremost, you've got to perform for advertisers, right? There's no charity in this. You've got to show that you can perform. But what we're demonstrating is that performance can actually be enhanced in a positive environment. So we have research that for us is showing that when users are in a positive context, they're more likely to purchase. And that's true at almost every stage of their purchase journey. So we're a full funnel platform where we help users from inspiration and discovery all the way through to consideration and purchase. But at each stage of that journey, we see that consumers are more likely to engage with brands when they meet them in a positive context. And so not only are we seeing that, we think brands and advertisers are more and more conscious of that and leaning into that with our platform.
Is it fair to call this the ad winter?
Certainly there's softness in the market. One of the things that we feel really proud of is that, we've continued to grow faster than, many of our peer set in the market. And so while, yes, it's a choppy market overall, there's softness in the ad market, we feel like our relative performance has been quite strong and that we're doing a lot of things that are quite foundational that we think are going to pay really good dividends for the medium to long term. Again, both with engagement with the users, where we've returned to user growth, we have engagement growing double digits, Gen Z being our fastest growing demographic, but also for advertisers where we're helping advertisers reach audiences on our platform and see really good returns on our platform. We think those set us up well to continue taking market share, both in the soft market that we're in now, but as that market starts to return, we think that sets us up for increasing strength in the medium to long term.
When do you see it turning?
I can't predict any better than anybody else. We focus on controlling what we can control, and that is how do we perform for advertisers, how do we perform for users. And on those metrics, when I say I feel really great about the quarter that we put up, on every one of those dimensions, we see increasing performance for users and for advertisers, and increasing relative performance for those advertisers. And so that's what we think sets us up well for the medium to long term, so that we're outpacing now, and as the market returns, we expect to outpace even more.
How much will your expenses be down this year, and where are these cost savings measures coming from?
So, as you know, I came up as an entrepreneur, and I came up as an entrepreneur in times when there wasn't sort of free money falling from the heavens. And so I'm a huge believer in theory of constraints, where, I think creativity loves constraints. And so what we've been focused on is how do we drive better operational rigor that gets us more focused on the things that really cut through for our users, really cut through for our advertisers. And as we've been doing that, it's not just that we found better discipline on cost, we're getting to better product outcomes for our users and advertisers. And these two things, sometimes people think of these things as being at odds with one another. I actually think if done properly, they are enhancing one another, and that's what we're seeing with our efforts so far.
So if sales stay at their current pace and you are driving down expenses, will this be a year of margin expansion for Pinterest?
So for my first earnings call, we've said that we're committed to getting back to margin expansion, meaningful margin expansion. That continues to be true. 2022 was an investment year for Pinterest, and we feel really good about how those investments are paying off. We've answered some of the biggest questions that were out there about the business in terms of will users re-engage with Pinterest. We've answered those definitively. Same with creating value for advertisers. So our investments have been paying off, but we took margin down in 22 for those investments. Now we want to get back to margin expansion, and we've historically been a good margin business with good cash flow, and I think that sets us apart as well. And so as we come into 23, we're focused on returning to meaningful margin expansion and making sure we continue to deliver good, strong cash flow.
You mentioned you are an entrepreneur at heart, rising the ranks through PayPal, spent a good bit of time at Google. What are your thoughts on this AI moment? It seems like a moment that we're having right now in the markets.
So, there's been significant advancement in AI for some time. In fact, a lot of our improvements with users and engagement have been using AI and machine learning to get to better personalization, better recommendations for users. And so we're seeing a lot of good advancement in that in our own products. That's been a multi-year journey. Each year there's the next better thing. And I think with generative AI and these things, that's the next sort of phase of this. And so I think it's a real opportunity. The question is going to be, who's able to innovate on new consumer use cases and who has really good first-party signal to help tune those models, and what do you tune it for? And on those two questions, we have really great first-party signal because we don't need to follow people around the internet to know what they're interested in. People come to Pinterest and tell us what they're interested in. They're curating boards and making product associations. So we have really rich first-party signal that we can use to tune that AI for really great personalization. And then back to what do you ask the AI to do? We're tuning for positivity, and we're seeing that cut through. We're seeing that perform well for the consumer and for the advertiser. And so, yes, AI is a broad-based opportunity, but what signal do you have to inform the AI? And then what are you tuning the AI for? And I think on both of those, we stand out.
How does generative AI, how do you imagine that changes Pinterest? Do you create something on your own? Does that need to be on your platform? Do you partner with a Microsoft or Google?
Well, so there's a lot of great sort of primitives that can be consumed, but also, what data do you have? What signal do you have? And I think that's where we have a lot of really great proprietary first-party data, first-party signal that we may consume primitives from cloud platforms or things like that. We have a great partnership with AWS, but we have a lot of really great proprietary first-party data and first-party signal to inform that. And what kinds of user experiences might we be able to create? Users think of us as inherently a place for visual exploration. And so when you think about all the possibilities of generative AI and what you could do with the visual exploration of that, the technical possibilities are quite interesting to imagine. But where's the user going to want to go for that? And we think that's where we have license from users and where users are going to look to us to give them those experiences. And so we're quite excited about it.
Real quick before I let you go, so you're the new CEO of Pinterest. Help our users understand you a little bit. What do you pin? What's your favorite pins? Where are you searching?
So I'm a big sneakerhead, so I do a lot of that. We built a house just before the pandemic, and so we did a lot of home design on that. And one of the things that's been really interesting for me is we finished that home right before the pandemic, which was great timing. But now, a few years later, it's like, I've got some design refreshes I'm working on. I'm a big whiskey guy, and so my whiskey bar needs a little refreshing, and so I've been going through designs on that.
Yeah. We'll connect offline.
For sure.
All right, well, I appreciate it. Thanks for the time. I know these earnings days are very busy. Bill Reddy, CEO of Pinterest, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it.